welcome back to my Sims channel. I guess that's what this is. I mean, it's called Simspire. So we're doing Sim stuff. The title of this video is something about the house being less than 20,000 simoleons, but I haven't really come up with it yet, but you'll get the point. Loading in, this is a world that I built a long time ago. You might recognize it if you've seen my other videos. I really don't remember the name of it, but it was super cool. It's like a little coastal town. And around the area, inspired by the area that I'm from. And so when I loaded into this lot, the lot was like already 5 grand or 6 grand or 6,000 simoleons or whatever. And so I had to take that into account when building the house, that the lot value does go over 20,000. It might even go over 25 at some point. However, the lot itself costs money, which in The Sims 4, I don't believe that it does, which does not make any sense. And so my goal here is to make an 8 sim household that is less than 20,000 simoleons or something like that, around 20,000, a starter home. You get the point. Just like people do in The Sims 4, they try to make it livable and somewhat cute, but without going over budget. And I don't remember who I heard say this, because I watch a lot of Sim stuff, but said like they don't know if it would be harder or easier in The Sims 3. One, everything in The Sims 3 is way more expensive than in The Sims 4, and so buying like appliances and beds and things like that for all of your Sims is expensive, and so this challenge would be more challenging. Or it might be way easier because you have the create a style tool, so you can just put a bunch of cheap furniture down and then change it into nicer looking furniture, which, yes, there is some truth to both of those theories, as I found out in this challenge. One, again, lots cost money. Building walls and windows and doors seems way more expensive in The Sims 3 than it does in The Sims 4. Buying appliances is expensive, but also just like lights and couches and TVs. And I never really paid attention to the pricing of things as much in The Sims 3, unless like I was playing, obviously, and was like trying to find things that my Sims could afford. Until this challenge, and then it was like, okay, this lamp is $135, but you can buy a TV for like 90 simoleons. And so that doesn't make any sense. But again, you're going to buy the cheapest TV if you do that. So again, this is a coastal house area. So I made a 2-story building because I was like, oh, this is going to have to be huge to fit 8 Sims. And I was sadly incorrect about that. You'll see after a while. I was very careful to delete all of the wallpaper and look for the cheapest wallpaper and make sure that I wasn't wasting any simoleons, because you can paint over wallpaper and waste money doing that in The Sims 3. I don't know about The Sims 4. At first I was like, ooh, these windows and like this roof, it looks like Greek. It doesn't. I don't know why I thought that. And so just bear with me for a while. It looks pretty atrocious, but the houses next to it are like beachier houses. So I was trying to go for like the pastel color on the outside, but it's very much like just kind of cheap coastal town, not like anything that you would probably see in like Europe, like I was trying to go for, which again, I don't know where that came from. And so I was like, oh, the cheapest way to get upstairs, ladders. Let's put a ladder in. And then I'm like, oh, well, let me figure out the floor plan before I start putting ladders in. And then as I'm doing the floor plan, I eventually at some point here in a few minutes or seconds, I don't know, it's sped up pretty fast, take out all the necessities, like all the beds that I would need and all the appliances and plumbing fixtures and things like that, to see, one, how big they are again, and two, how much they're going to cost, because I didn't want to go overboard on anything. And so when I put the bed in the master bedroom, it was huge. The bedroom was huge, which is great. Building a normal house, the master bedroom should be pretty big and luxurious. And something happened here. Just ignore this. I accidentally went into creating a family, and that's not the goal of this video. So back to the house, okay? And so I realized that I needed to shrink the house, which, from the wise words of Kayla, it makes all the houses smaller in Sims 4. Just make them smaller. Why are they so big and empty? with EA standards of like building, you can only put so many things in there so it doesn't lag. And so I did the same thing to my own building. I made it way too big and realized if I only have 20,000 simoleons, then I'm going to have to cut it down pretty small. And again, they're not going to have fully furnished rooms or anything like that. This is the bare necessities. Like one bedroom has a dresser. There's a mirror in the bathroom. There's a computer in the living room. And I kind of just went around at the end and realized that I had some extra money. So that was interesting. And we'll see that in just a little bit. But here's me messing with the floor plan. Oh, this is where I realized that it does not need to be 2 stories and that I could make it work just the way that it is. And I hate Sims 3 roofing for the fact that you put the roof on first, because if you don't, sometimes it'll like clip with windows and clip with things for some reason. It says like cannot intersect objects. So then you turn cheats on and then that can get messy. And so you have to put the roof on first. But then if you want to change the house underneath it, then you have to go back and change the roof. And then that gets messy because you have to delete it all and restart, and it's just hectic. And so yes, I talked about in my last video, or one of the last videos I did, or I've done like 3, but you get the point, that I do miss some of the things from The Sims 4. Gasp, I know, that's crazy. Building wise, the building in Sims 4 would be super helpful in The Sims 3. For example, if I wanted to put this house on a foundation, you just do it. If you want to completely pick the house up and move it to the back end of the lot, you can, and it will do that for you. That's super cool, because I started building this one just kind of like randomly on the lot, not realizing that I couldn't move it until it was too late, and it didn't really turn out in a bad spot, but I just kind of was like, oops, I kind of forgot I can't pick it up, and scoot it back 1 tile, and why I would need to do that. But so the 2 challenges for this challenge: 1, make it have livable for 8 Sims. So I picked like obviously parents and then bunches of teens and kids, however you want to do that. And then I assumed there would at least need to be like 1 baby or 1 toddler, just because that seems normal. And so I put like the littlest kid age group with the toddler or baby in their own little room. And then there's 4 kids or teenagers, like the other 4 children will be sleeping in that one room by themselves, which is just not possible. That would be awful, and I feel sorry for this family, but let's just assume they all get along nicely and none of them snore. And yeah, so I went through and tried to customize their bedspreads a little bit. That's always fun in The Sims 3. To go through and just make each of them look like they would be owned by a different kid and picked out differently. But I also didn't want to make them like super matchy or fancy, so I've played with that for a while. It goes on for a little bit, but that's one of the things that I was curious about when doing this challenge. Was in The Sims 4, it seems like the same houses just keep being made and made and made and made and made and made in these types of challenges, because it's very easy in The Sims 4, just with their like base game things, because there is no create a style tool. You can just grab furniture that matches in style, matches in somewhat sometimes color, but it's like there's a set combination of things and furniture wise and decoration wise that just work in The Sims 4. So like there's a blueprint, you do it, it looks pretty good, you use this flooring, you use this wall, it's kind of bound to look like an Airbnb because it's just bare minimum, everything somewhat matches, and it looks at least all in the same style. It may not match perfectly. And then you're good to go. And it's under $16,000, and you can fit as many Sims in there as you want to. And so Create a Style does make The Sims 3 easier and more versatile. However, when doing a challenge like this, I'm forced to try to budget and find the cheapest items in each category. But then those cheap items are extremely ugly, and most of the time they do have matching swatches, like you can hover over them, and most of the tables and beds and chairs and things will have like matching wood swatches on them. However, they're ugly. They can be really, really ugly in The Sims 3. Like, for example, the rugs in The Sims 3, like, none of them are cute. You have to change the patterns of them, but at least they give you different sizes, kind of thing. That works. But see, like, these end tables. The cheapest end table is like a TV dinner table that you would, like, sit at your couch and pull up a, like, movie and eat your TV dinner on. And so it's like, that's a cool table if I was making like a dorm room or, again, a living room where someone would watch TV while eating a TV dinner. I don't even know if those are a thing anymore. But, anyways, it doesn't look good in this master bedroom. And so it's like, I don't want them to completely look destitute and like they just picked all their furniture up off the side of the road. But I also don't want it to look like extravagant because I can't. I'm on a budget. So that does make it tricky to go through and try to match the things using the create a style tool, but also trying to find cheap things that just like in their form, not necessarily in their design or their color, their form that aren't ugly, like tables, chairs, things like that. And so, or that are functional. So for example, bunk beds only come in like 2 or 3 different like styles. And so I just figured the metal beds, they're the cheapest, and like those kind of bed frames are kind of in style again, which I think they're pretty cool. And so the parents have it, like every single bed's like made out of those metal bars. And so now the kitchen, again, I had to make it extremely small, and I think I shrink it even more than this in just a minute or two. I'm realizing I was like, okay, I can fit a whole living room in here. And then I was like, oh, I got 8 Sims. So I need a place for at least most of them to sit down. Again, one of them's a baby or a toddler, so they're not going to be sitting on the sofa. And like, it's very rarely in The Sims 3 everybody sits down on the sofa at the exact same time, except for when they do Christmas or whatever, the unboxing day. What is it called? Gift giving day or something like that. You throw a gift giving party and they all sit around that thing. You will need a chair for every single one of them to sit around, but that's okay. Let's just assume we don't have that in game. And so, yeah, I had the cheapest doors on the entire house, those little orange ones, and you can only change one side of them from what I'm aware of. And so it just left this like orange door. And I was kind of like, this house already kind of looks like 70s style. So with like the colors, so I put the green and then I was like, let's go crazy with the high chair for some reason. So I did that, and everything else is like very plain and bland, but I wanted it to kind of look like their furniture was hand-me-down, but not like gross. Again, not like picked up off the side of the road, but not gross. I tried to do the trick here in the counters where you put the island counter and then you put a computer on it so they can sit and play on the computer. It doesn't work in The Sims 3. So I put it in the middle of the kitchen right here on a little table that belongs outside. And then I was categorizing and trying to budget which chair is the cheapest that's not ugly. And then I just realized, like, there's still a lot of space in the kitchen. I wasn't going to put a kitchen sink because we had a bathroom sink, but we had the money, so I did that. I was going to put rugs everywhere, couldn't afford it, so I just got this, like, itchy brown rug and put it in the living room. No wall decoration, no curtains, can't afford it. Sorry, people, you're just going to have to make sure that you don't have spying neighbors, I guess. I don't know. Anyways, I'm shrinking it. Here we go. Making it a couple tiles smaller, which I'm sure in gameplay is going to be a nightmare because there's so many people walking around in that small kitchen at the same time that routing is going to get extremely messed up, but that is okay. That is all right. They will figure it out, and just maybe while the kids are at school, the parents are like doing all the stuff they need to do inside, and then you just close it off. So again, I fixed the roof. I decided to do a little bit of landscaping. I decided like, oh yeah, it looks pretty good. Couldn't decide on a roof. Went back to the exact same roof that I had before. And so I was like, oh, terrain paint is free. So I painted the floor, got a little pathway going. Wasn't really sure what I wanted to do with it just yet. And realized that there were no trees, so I put a couple trees. And then I was like, oh, there's a lot of kids in this family, like maybe I should do some type of like jungle gym or a swing set, something that the kids can play. Like, again, there's a couple of toys around the house. There's a potty for the toddler, a high chair for the toddler, which are important, and then there's a functional bathroom, and a computer and a mirror. And that's about all they got. No art easels, nothing super fun. And so I was like, you know what? Let's put something in the backyard that at least the kids can play on. I think the teens can like hang out in that thing. I don't really know. I haven't played in a while. But then I got them a little fire pit, put it out back. And then I did some more paint because it's free, I think. And so I painted around all the trees, painted around, make it look like the ground had been scuffed up a bit. The thing I forgot to do was to paint around the edge of the house because it just looks like it's sitting flush with the grass. But and then I decided to flex because The Sims 3 is better than The Sims 4. So I put a car because The Sims 4 could never. And I just wanted to prove that you could build a starter home for 8 Sims in The Sims 3 and have a car. So there's no excuse for us not to have cars in The Sims 4, even though they got the cheapest one. And I do my little pebble driveways because I never planned to do one until it's too late. And then I was like, ooh, it's kind of ugly. So I just threw a bunch of rocks around it and some shrubs, some shrubbery, and hoped it turned out okay. We're gonna jump into screenshots here in just a moment. Oh, hydrangeas, they're $1. Can you believe that? Hydrangeas are $1. But here we go. We're jumping into screenshots. Again, under 20,000 simoleons, Sims 3, starter home, 8 Sims, with a car. Can you believe it? I can't believe it. Oh man, they're so ugly because these people just have nothing. But that's okay, man. You play, they can build it up, man. It really does just look like an Airbnb. Like, bare minimum, man. You got a bed, you got a toilet, and the walls are painted pastel colors. And that's enjoy your stay. 5 stars. Oh, I hope you enjoyed it. Bye.